So
Can they sit in the judge's chair and spin around?
I know, right?
Anything go? That's not here. Let's just spin around.
Yep, just 1 second. We're
These carpets.
what grade are you guys in?
Can they sit in the judge's?
Second. Wow.
Nice.
Very cool. And so we're all at Duzine. Nice. Who's your teacher? Third to fifth, right?
And I think fourth is high school.
And what?
I think fourth is high school.
I know.
All right, you guys want to help us do the pledge?
Yeah.
We're gonna start the, I'd like to make a motion to start to open the November 18th, 2021 Town Board of Police Commission meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We know you. From the Millbrook Spurs.
How are you? This is exciting.
272.
272. Cool. So we're live, right?
Just be a little careful for the wires down there, but these guys are gonna help us with the pledge.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right.
We needed help, you know.
Gotta gather them in.
Sorry.
All right, boys, boys.
They can stand there, that's fine too, because the camera goes both ways, so they'll, actually, if they all stand there, that'll be perfect. All right, can you guys help us with the pledge?
All right. Flag's right there.
You guys ready? Flags over there.
Ready?
I'm gonna lead my pledge to the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice.
Nice,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
That was great. How do you guys like the new building?
Good.
Good.
Isn't it
And
fancy?
I love this freaky owl.
Oh.
Wait, it has eyes.
Good
It
job.
says owl.
It's an owl.
It's an owl camera, yeah.
So for those watching at home, that's Troop 272. Thank you guys so much for coming.
That's a tablet.
72. Thank you guys for joining
It's
us.
on a computer.
Great.
Bye.
Future town board members.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you all for having me.
No, thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a good night, guys. I know, I saw something. We should have asked if they want to speak at the public hearing. No, thank you guys so much. Have a great day, guys.
Enjoy the rest of the tour.
All right, there was a Cub Scout tour of the police station, so they helped us with the pledge. We have opened the meeting. We said the pledge. You guys can watch it on YouTube later on if you want to see it, but it was the best pledge we've done in a long time. Thanks to Troop 272 for helping us out.
That was great.
And so with that, let's see, we've done the pledge, call to order. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Announcements, over to you, chief.
Just a few. First, we wanted to thank Chelsea Becker, the teacher at the Duzine School, and the Duzine Lenape PTA for inviting us to participate in the trunk or treat event over at Duzine School on the 28th of October. We had a blast. We gave away a ton of candy. They gave away a ton of candy. So I think it was a really, really well-received event. And we really are actually planning how we're going to decorate the police car next year. So we are excited. So hopefully it's something that they keep doing. Same thing, just wanted to thank Phoenix Kawamoto and the Office of Community Wellness for inviting us to participate in the Grab and Goes. That was another successful event on Halloween. So just wanted to pass along our thanks. Conversations with the police are still going on, the monthly session. So again, just a reminder to everybody, it's the third Wednesday of the month. We changed up the times and locations this month. That was yesterday. We had it here at the PD at 10 a.m. We had some coffee. We had 3 people attend. It was nice, gave an impromptu quick tour of the police department as well. So seemed to be well received. Holiday hoopla. We are working with the Office of Community Wellness and the youth program for the holiday hoopla. I know Phoenix has provided a lot of information on that, and we're helping them. Sergeant Lewis and Officer Halstead have been helping plan and get some attractions for both that and the Winter Carnival. They're really into it. They're really excited, so it's been good. We began No Shade November. I can't grow anything. So I did try for a few days, but it was too itchy and I shaved it all off. But I'm still donating money, but I just can't do it. And last but not least, we also did the Stock the Shelves fundraiser in October. We're still collecting donations, so I don't know exactly how much we're going to be donating to Family of New Paltz. But Duke Bunce and I went out with some of the officers from SUNY PD in a balmy 27-degree day and decided to ride. So they actually rode the full 100. I was not able to, I had to return sooner, so I did not do the full 100. And that's all I have for it.
If people want to make donations to your ride in that weather, how do they do that?
If they want to give they can contact either Officer Bunce or I here at the PD. We're still collecting those donations. Some people gave just, a dollar amount, some pledged by $1 by mile. So any donation is gratefully accepted. And as I said, we will present the money to Family of New Paltz. For the two of us, we're going to bring in a donation to Family of New Paltz. SUNY, I think, has another charity that they're going to.
Thank you.
Great. And so with that, any other announcements?
Oh, there's a turkey trot. So again, something else that the way they did it is instead of it being, because it's virtual this year, so instead of it being that one day, it's a whole month. So anytime during the month, you can run it and you can get money per mile. So you can get in touch with Teresa Fall and she will give you more information if you want, but it's a really great cause too.
Awesome.
Yep.
And stay tuned for the holiday hoopla. There's going to be, I've heard lots of very exciting things about it. It's going to be huge. We're going to announce more at the next meeting, but I think it's going to be early December. But it's very exciting. So stay tuned and it's going to be great. Something to look forward to for everyone. So with that, I would like to open the floor for public comment. And if you have a comment, please keep it to 3 minutes. Raise your hand, not the physical hand, because I'm not looking at all the different people. I have now pinned us as the main speakers. But if you have a comment, please raise your Zoom hand and I will call on you. And then you can keep it to 3 minutes. And so, Stana, you had a comment.
Hi, for those who don't know, my name is Stana Weisbird. I am a member of the village board. I'm a trustee of the village of New Paltz. I am the liaison from the village board to the police commission. I just wanted to say a couple things. I'm working on making undoing racism happen for training for everybody within the village and the town. I wanted you to know that I've spoken to Peter Heyman and I'm waiting to hear back from Tracy Givens Hunter about it. And I'm working on seeing if there's any possibility of getting group discounts. I would like to say just that, the final report from the NPPRC, was done on March 31st. I joined the village board and became the liaison here in June and started asking about it then. And that I don't understand why this hasn't been budgeted yet, but I'm grateful we're working on it now, and we need to budget this. We need to budget this. So I'm doing everything I can to help everybody to do that. And I wish it had already been done. But I'm grateful that I'm able to help now. But yeah, so hopefully we can get this done finally.
Yeah, well, I don't know when the village budgeted, but we budgeted last year and this year, so we're ready to go. So if the village wants to do it, they can join us. But Paul?
Great. So wait, it's all totally in the budget already?
We have, I think it's $1,700 to do that. We talked about it at our last joint meeting. So we have money in the town's budget to do I think it's $350 per person for the town board members. So yes, we have the money. We had it last year. We have it this year. So, yes,
So, but that's not for everybody. That's just for how many I mean, because it's 1,700, I got to see how many people that'll cover.
it's for the town board members and the police chief and the lieutenant.
Okay,
That's what we
so
just,
I am speaking to Tracy Givens Hunter about the possibility of a big bulk discount because we're doing everybody from the village and the town. So you should know that.
Thank you.
great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul,
It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Neil. Good evening. Neil, I sent you and Dan, I had your emails and the chief, some documentation so I could keep under the 3 minutes. I went to my second conversation with the police department. It was energizing and a little frightening. Energizing because the chief explained to me as a father in this school district about the active shooter policy and what they're doing. And then Sergeant Foco was there, and it was so great to hear from him and hear what they're doing and the training and so forth. But frightened a little because I don't see, and I've lived here since 1969, that our community really understands the responsibility we have to have a 22, or whatever number, it may vary a little, but 22 hardworking individuals and what they're undergoing. And then I know you are proposing to move to a civilian police commission. And I spoke a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago about the importance of training. But I felt my comments were a bit empty because I wasn't as familiar with the kind of training that would be useful that I took as a member of the planning board, the ZBA, the Board of Assessment Review. But I've been doing my homework, and I promised the chief I'd send him an email. And chief, you got this same email I'm referring to. I did find an organization, is a lot of information, but it's called the Council on Criminal Justice. And they have an impressive board of directors and members. They include chiefs of police of Miami, Art Acevedo, the chief of Miami Police, Roy Austin, who's a vice president of the Civil Rights Facebook, former White House advisor, another chief of police in Georgia, Lou Deckmar, Colette Flanagan, founders of Mothers Against Brutality, Walter Katz, vice president of criminal justice, and a former police oversight official in LA and San Jose. These are people who are serious researchers and teachers and professionals in the field of law enforcement. Tashante McCoy, sadly, if you read her story, founder of the Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice, called the OWL Movement. Just for me, Rosie Rivera, sheriff in Utah. But I studied them, I've looked at their research. There's one article I've sent you a PDF link for, and it's what I wanted to focus on tonight. Simply an article on officer wellness. These 22 hardworking folks in our department, including our chief and the leadership team there. This study is attempted to look at how communities take care of their employees and the impacts on, and I'll just list them, preventing a misuse of force, enhancing transparency and accountability, which I think we have a great deal of already, strengthening community trust, and I don't know how to measure that because I don't think we have a representative sample of people who show up to help the town board do its job, reducing racial disparities, ensuring officer safety, that's certainly important in my mind, and promoting public safety. I think the community really does have a responsibility, in the very least, these members of the police commission. If you're going to interview folks, I'd ask them to read this article called Officer Wellness and see what they think about it. I will follow up with more details of other sources of training, documents, materials. I'm not talking about spending money as much as spending time on getting it right. It's a weighty responsibility. I have confidence in the town board. I think you've taken this duty on the last several years responsibly. I am very concerned about how you will slowly and in an orderly way turn it over to people who deserve to be on the police commission. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Tom? Tom? These are just agendas. I only have one.
Muted. I'm starting the
Tom, go
video.
ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening. As usual, I'm representing myself and also our small coalition for community wellness in New Paltz. We definitely support the resolution connected to the revised police commission law being considered tonight as a statement of the mission and certain policies to undergird the independence and effectiveness of the proposed citizen-based police commission. We applaud the inclusion of language emphasizing that the commission and its members demonstrate a commitment to anti-racism in keeping with the origins of the current police reform and reinvention movement. While this resolution is a forceful statement, we urge you to incorporate a condensed version into the law itself. Originally, somebody said this wasn't possible, but I believe it must be because this is what the town sanctuary law does. It starts off with 2 paragraphs explaining the legislative intent of that law and its historical context. I think in this way, the basic thrust of what you're seeking to do in the new law will in fact be sort of carved in stone and can therefore survive changes in the town administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Edgar? Okay, we'll go on to Lamina Grace Harmon.
It's Limina. I changed my name.
Oh, thank
The
you.
whole thing.
Sorry.
You can read about it on Facebook. Hi. I just wanted to point out that the NPPRRC did account for training of new commissioners. That is in our report, just to clarify that since it just came up. But most of what I wanted to say tonight is that I would love to see the members of the NPPRRC get the band back together to become the review committee for shortlisting members of the new police commission. Since we're already so engaged and ensconced in the work, I think it's good to have more eyes on it than mine.
Okay, sounds good.
Great.
Thanks.
Anything else? Great. All right.
Nope, that was
Yeah.
it.
Great.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Good
thanks for
suggestion.
your
Thank you.
Willingness to do that.
Yeah, thanks for volunteering to do more work. Okay, Edgar.
It's not working on my computer. Okay, I am.
Got a lot of
I
feedback
think you got
on
two
you.
two computers on at the same time.
That's probably.
There we go. Come, Edgar, come.
So I'll mute Maggie and then you can go, Edgar. Go ahead.
You're muted, we can't hear you.
I think they're trying to
They're
go,
trying to
so
move.
it's not,
Oh.
there's no feedback.
Can I be heard now?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay, sorry for that. I'm making a comment that's consistent, it's very consistent with the comments that are already been made tonight related to race. I'm very glad that the town board had approved the anti-racism statement on September the 2nd to evaluate the policies and the ordinance implemented to guard against racial bias and systematic racism of any kind in the town government, among other things. Among other things has become a rather critical thing right now. Essie Lewis, who, as you know, will be a new town board member, is spearheading a local project to establish an African-American cultural center that the village board acquired. It is the house located at, it's called the Ann Oliver House at 5 Broadhead Avenue on the south side of the new Stewart's store, which is the ideal opportunity for New Paltz to continue to honor the Black history of New Paltz by creating this African American Cultural Center. Both the coalition and concerned parents are giving a heads up, not only to the town board, but to the village board, to the school board, and to the college to support, not only in spirit, this effort, but financially. So when Stana talked about budgeting, I'm hoping that as you work on the budget, that possibly you might consider this. It's a proposal that's being put together by a number of people throughout the community right now. S.C. Lewis is spearheading it. You'll be hearing more. And this announcement is really for the board, the public in general, to hear of this important effort to have this African American Cultural Center located kind of in the new heart of New Paltz that's becoming Route 32. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I, he took
Go
my
ahead.
time. Yeah,
Let's
okay,
go
thank
for it.
you.
Go ahead,
Thanks.
go ahead, Maggie.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Lumina. I knew it was Jen Berry, but Lumina for recognizing and recommending that more people look at the actual applications of those who are on the police commission. And I really want to thank Paul for acknowledging the important work this commission can do and the importance of the training that could be involved with that. It's really good to feel the efforts that we're having come to head and having a meeting of some of the minds here. Thank you.
Thanks.
I just want to jump in just so people can hear it again, that it's Limina, and I call her Lim.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
Diana?
Good evening, everybody. So I'm glad that there are some folks here from the village because a good portion of what I wanted to comment about is directed at the village. I watched the meeting last week, and I believe the meeting probably occurred on 11/10. So I watched the video, and I was just very disheartened in listening to the conversation over training and cost and things of that nature. I mean, this report was submitted 9 months ago. Somebody could have gave birth by now. And based on the dialogue and the conversation I heard, the report hadn't even been read. It might have been now as of this week, but the report hadn't been read. So like, why is it, sitting in somebody's file cabinet or in somebody's computer when it should have been looked at? You wouldn't have had to look for training elsewhere because everything was documented in that report. And so, it's discouraging that it had not been read until last week or this week. The other thing is, the scuffle over money. Well, put it in the budget. If you read it up front, then work should have been on it, been applied to it. I'm curious, has it ever been discussed in any of the village board meetings since say last year, September, or even before that? So I'm going to assume that's a no, just because of the dialogue that we had. Also during that meeting, the mayor had mentioned pulling out it wasn't a report, it was someone submitted to do some work for the village and the town. I can give you her name later because I had to switch computers because I couldn't find my raise hand on my other laptop. But the letter was dated, I want to say February 15th or 19th of 2019. And what it appeared to be is that, perhaps a friend sought out this person to do some work, but her work fundamentally was not in this type of work. Her work was done for children in schools in not so great neighborhoods to do food sourcing and gardening. When I went to the website, there was nothing there. It looked like it was just made to be pretty. You couldn't follow, you couldn't get anything substantial about it. And so that's not good. So I would encourage the town and the village, when you're looking at stuff, look for Google evidence-based practices. And that's where you will find substantial work. None of the people that I looked up had anything that was evidence-based. And so it's a waste of time to even go there. I realize, some folks were like, oh, it's comfortable. I want to do it this way. They know me. You need to be uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable having to say it, but I got to do it because that's the only way it's going to happen. And so this work is a passion of mine, and I've been at it for 30 years before most of you were even here. And so, or doing any kind of work in the town. And so it can be frustrating, but I think it's one of my things in life that I'm supposed to accomplish. And so I'm saying this to encourage you to do the right thing. Read your reports thoroughly. Ask us questions. I even said to Stana, and I'm glad that Limina brought it up, I'm not looking to do work again, but I would certainly assist with gathering up, well, once you gather up candidates for this work. That brings me to my other point. I'm sorry I'm going over, but it's really important.
You could wrap it up.
I'm
please.
gonna wrap it up. Okay. The town and the village, they need to reach out to the NAACP, SUNY New Paltz. They have tons of minority recruitment programs and folks that can do this work. Reach out. You sit with the town and gown. Grab those folks and spread the word. Just posting something on your website is not good enough. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? If not, I'll hand it over to you, Chief, and we can go on. Oh, wait, first we're going into executive session. So I make a motion to go into executive session. We're going to leave the room because we're in a physical place. All in favor? And we'll be
Aye.
back.
Aye. Aye. Second.
Dave, you okay walking?
Whoops. This out. All right. How long are you on those?
Tom, you want to mute yourself?
Oh, sorry. How you doing?
Okay.
Gonna go around to it.
Oh, I'll just say no. Confused, yeah.
Some of it is that.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that, man. Don't waste it.
Motion to come back.
Make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second,
And so Chief, correct me when I get this wrong, but I'd like to make a motion to refer to the town board to temporarily appoint, is it Shannon James?
Shannon James?
Shannon James to the rank of sergeant
Yes, sir.
On a temporary basis.
on a temporary basis, temporarily appoint.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's my fault, sorry.
Okay. So that's off to the monthly report.
So last month, we didn't cover the September report, so I'll start with that. With that, just the one thing I wanted to note on the detective's monthly report is that Detective Sergeant Sutton is now starting to do our discovery work. David Dugakin has retired. So with that, Detective Sergeant Sutton has taken on those responsibilities. You'll see that reflected in his report in terms of regular hours and the amount of overtime. It's becoming, this is also something we need to start to work on. We're trying to find somebody that we can lean into outside of him, because this is not going to lessen, it's only going to increase as we move on. The need for discovery and the amount of time that it requires is only going to grow because of the, just the amount of video and audio that we take in each day and on each incident. So, so I did want to just note that, and that is also, you see that there's a difference in the October report. Excuse me, it's almost double than it was in the September report. As far as commendations go, we have 2 commendations. The first is a commendation for Officer Kraus. This is just a copy of the email that was sent to him. He had responded to a residence for noise from a boiler system in the house, and he assisted the homeowner there. He has a plumbing background, so that it helps when Phil Kraus responds to you.
I'll be making a call soon.
So it's good. And then the second was a letter from Ulster County Stop DWI. That certificates of appreciation were issued to Officer Zachary Mitchell and Evan Redmond in recognition of their performance for 2020 related to DWI. So those certificates were issued to those officers, and copies were placed into the personnel file for each of those officers. I don't know if there's any questions about that. So for defensive action reports, we had 3 separate incidences. The first incident occurred on, and there's only one report for this one. The incident occurred on September 8th, 2021, about 2:30 in the morning. It occurred on Main Street. The individual involved was an 18-year-old male, approximately 5 feet 11 inches tall, 165 pounds, medium build, white. They were charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and possession of a forced instrument. In this particular instance, the officer observed a group of people fighting in the streets and brandished their pepper spray, took out their pepper spray to advise the subjects to stop fighting. The officer observed the defendant continue to fight and strike another individual on the ground, and he deployed his OC on that subject, and he was arrested, decontaminated at the scene. Reviewed, did the investigation looking at footage that we obtained, and based upon our investigation, there were no issues in terms of the officer's defensive action in that case. The second incident is one that occurred on September 18th, 2021 at about 7:44 in the morning. The individual involved in this was a 35-year-old male, approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall, 100 pounds, medium build, white, non-Hispanic. They were eventually charged with harassment in the 2nd degree. In this case, we had responded to assist New Paltz Rescue with an individual who was found on Main Street with injuries. The EMTs were attending to this individual, who then ended up punching one of the EMTs. The officers intervened and gained control of their arms and took this individual down to the ground where they were handcuffed. So the defensive action in this case is documenting the takedown to the ground, the control, and the cuffing of the individual. There are 2 reports filed because 2 officers were involved in this, but it's the same person on that. Again, in terms of our review, there was, we had responded to the scene, and the defensive action was taken after this individual had struck, and the force was used to subdue them. And these consistent, both officers' use of force was consistent in compliance with department policy. The next case or incident occurred on September 29th, 2021. There are 4 reports for this incident. This involves a 48-year-old male, approximately 6 feet tall, 108 pounds, medium build, black, non-Hispanic, who was charged with DWI and resisting arrest. He actually responded to a car that had flipped over in the middle of Main Street. This occurred about 1:50 in the morning. Vehicle traveling down westbound Main Street flipped over in the middle of the street. The operator, this was the operator. The officers were trying to place them in custody. And the officers themselves did a really good job with this case, in this incident. They spent a good amount of time just trying to, reason with this individual, explain what the circumstances were, but ultimately it did lead to a use of force. In this case, the officers had advised him he was under arrest. He would not comply with their verbal direction, and then began to physically resist. He actually punched at one of the officers, or one of our members there. And at this point, two of the officers grabbed each arm, and they directed him down to the ground, where he continued to refuse or to comply with verbal commands. One of our officers deployed their pepper spray, or brandished their pepper spray, so there is a defensive action for this. No pepper spray was used, but the fact that they brandished it, used it, threatened its use is the reason there's a defensive action report for that. The other 3 reports relate to the actual takedown of the individual. So there were, as I said, 4 defensive action reports for this case. And in this, based upon our investigation, all of the defensive actions were in compliance with our department policy and training. And as I said, the pepper spray itself was not used. It's threatened use, and that's why there was an ODAR for that one. I don't know if anybody has any questions related to that.
No concerns in any of these 3 defensive action issues from your standpoint?
Thank you.
I think he was asking, I think, from your
Oh,
standpoint, I could hear a little
I'm
better,
sorry.
maybe.
That's a question. No concerns for you.
No, in looking at all of these, the officers are not immediately going to force. In all of these, there is an attempt. There is an attempt to try and avoid that. Obviously, in the heat of the one with the pepper spray, and the groups fighting, I would rather our people, they're doing what we're asking them to do. I would rather them deploy pepper spray than to get into a physically hands-on confrontation with an individual. The pepper spray has been an effective tool, and I'm happy in the way that they're utilizing it. Judicious in its use, but they understand that it's better to do that than to actually get hands-on with an individual, because that is where you'll have a tendency for injury to more likely occur. With the spray, it's the spray, and more often than not, it has an immediate effect of stopping people from fighting, and we're able then to gain control, make arrests, and
So
sort
can you just,
out.
compare that first issue where they deployed the pepper spray, that people are fighting, and they deploy the pepper spray to kind of say, hey, I don't want to get in that melee, I'm not getting in that, and to stop this by using pepper spray. The last incident where the guy is starting to put starting to attack, is like no pepper spray was used there. Do you want pepper spray used there? Or
It's in the situation, in the first situation, you're talking about a group of individuals that are fighting. So it's really a larger melee that's taking place. So for us, one officer to get in there and there's nothing wrong with getting in there and going hands-on. But the idea of the pepper spray is that it's an effective tool.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with one individual, sometimes you see, in this particular case, you saw 3 officers document their physical direction of an individual. I know this sounds strange to people outside of policing, but the idea is that if I have 3 officers there, that's really going to minimize the amount of force that's necessary.
Right.
If it's a one-on-one, then there's a higher likelihood of a higher level of force that's necessary in order to affect that arrest or stop that action.
Thanks for clarifying.
Any other questions on those? So the only thing I wanted to just note, obviously in the training report, is the training that was attended by Sergeant Quigley and Officer Bunce related to the child passenger safety seat. They attended the conference this year. This is CME. This is how they maintain their continuing educational credits. So that enables us to maintain our child passenger safety seat program here. Without that, we would not be able to inspect and or install safety seats and be a fitting station here at the PD. I don't know if there's any other questions related to the September report.
Nope.
Okay. So in the October report, I just wanted to highlight a couple of cases that the Detective Division, one of the cases that the Detective Division worked on. This related to a string of larcenies from vehicles in the town and the village. The Detective Division, we had received numerous complaints regarding items being stolen from vehicles. They began investigating these incidences. They were able to identify a suspect in this case. They established probable cause. They made an arrest on that suspect. Ultimately, that individual has pled guilty to felonies and is being sentenced to 2 to 4 years in state prison. The only negative is that we were not able to locate and return some of the items that were stolen, and which included, jewelry that meant it had a personal attachment for some of the people involved. So that was the unfortunate of the downside. But they did a great job with this investigation. They jumped on it and were able to ID this individual and close that as a case. So just wanted to talk to that about them.
Right.
Make people feel a lot safer, I think.
I hope so. I felt bad that we just could not return some of the property that people had been taken from them. We have 3 commendations. So the first is a commendation for the first one here is for Officer Kraus. Again, this was an email that we received, and it was just in terms for his assistance in helping mediate an issue with some surveyors on some property, and just wanted to thank him. Said he was extremely helpful and professional, and just appreciated the way he handled the situation and was able to mediate that situation. The next is a thank you to Officer Calvin Halstead, who responded to a disabled vehicle complaint on South Buck Plymouth Road. The individuals here are from out of town. Their RV had broken down, and they just wanted to thank Officer Halstead for just the time he spent with them. He was there with them, made sure they had a tow. He was there with them for close to about an hour, just to make sure that they were okay, and they were off to where they needed to be, and that they were, they had a solid plan in motion before he was able to leave there. So they wanted to thank him, and it happened to be on their wedding anniversary, so they were very happy and thankful. And the last one is a commendation for Officer Town and Sergeant Koch. It's related to the motor vehicle accident handled on 299 Libertyville Road, a serious motor vehicle accident early October. And it was just wanted to thank them for the assistance that they gave, and just the help that not for the people involved, and just for this individual and trying to help locate their loved one. So wanted to thank them for that. Any questions about any of it?
I just, no complaints to the department in September or October, Chief? None?
No complaints. Knock on my head. And again, as I say, I appreciate you bringing that up. We will make announcements on any type of complaints that we get. We will announce those.
That is the new protocol for us.
And it has been.
We're going to announce complaints, just like we announce accommodations.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So in this case, we have 5 incidences in which the use of force was used. And the first one is for an incident that occurred on October 6, 2021. There should be 2 defensive action reports for this particular incident. The person involved in this, I believe it's the same person involved. 23-year-old male, approximately 5 feet 8 inches tall, 105 pounds, medium build, black, not Hispanic. They were charged with disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. In this particular case, officers had been flagged down by staff in one of the bars about an altercation that was taking place or had taken place down on North Front Street. When they responded down there, the subjects who were identified as being assailants, one of them was identified as an assailant involved in the altercation, was attempting to leave the area. The officer went to speak with them, tried to advise them why they were being stopped and what was going on. The individual was told they were not free to leave while we were investigating this incident. While this was going on, the individual began wrapping a belt around their knuckles and then turned and came at the officer. So the officer then took this individual down to the ground, and that's where they ended up placing him in custody. The second officer was involved in terms of assisting with that, and saw the individual charged step out to the officer, and then assisted the first officer with gaining control of them, and so they could take them into custody. In reviewing this incident here, as I said, this was on-scene investigating assault that had occurred. They identified this individual as one of the suspects involved. He was detained while we were investigating the incident, did not comply, and then physically threatened at the officer. There were no, based upon our investigation, the actions were within the department's policy, consistent with training for both officers involved. The only issue of note that I would say here is that one of the officers involved in this, the officer actually got pushed by this individual. The individual hit him in the chest, which turned off their body worn camera. You can see the contact made in the video, and it cuts off. But there's car video and video from the second officer was there, so that allowed us to review that particular incident. It's just something we need to be aware of, and it's why we still continue to maintain our in-car systems as well as our body worn camera systems. The second incident occurred on October 8th, 2021 at about 9 a.m. This was in response to an intimate partner domestic. The individual involved here was a 53-year-old male, approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall, 170 pounds, medium build, black, non-Hispanic. They were charged with criminal contempt in the first degree, resisting arrest, and harassment in the second degree. So this was we responded to a domestic incident. The individual, the person here involved had an order of protection against them, had engaged in a physical altercation with the other individual who had sustained some minor injuries. This is a mandatory arrest situation. So there are 3 reports on this, all related to physical direction. There were 3 officers involved in this case, and that's why there's 3 reports on this. So in this case, the officer responded to a reported domestic incident. It was determined that this was a intimate partner domestic, and that it was a physical criteria for a mandatory arrest situation because of the criminal contempt. Officers informed the individual that they were under arrest. They spent some time trying to reason with him. The individual ends up going back into their apartment and keeps retreating within the apartment. It came to the point where the one officer made contact because they didn't want him to retreat any further in the apartment, not knowing what was in the apartment. And the physically directed this individual down onto a couch where they placed him in cuffs, and took him into custody. Again, there were no issues related to use of force in any of this. All 3 officers, their actions were consistent with department policy training. Again, another, in terms of the external factor, we did have a camera that did not activate. It did malfunction. We investigated that. It was a malfunction of the camera in and of itself. And that camera has been taken out of service and is we're waiting for a replacement unit on it as we speak. Again, not only were the 2 other officers involved in this case had their body worn cameras on, there was a 4th officer on scene out on the porch who had their camera. So we were able to obtain video from various angles in part of that.
Criminal contempt because of the order of protection?
Yes. And so the next incident occurred on October 10th, 2021, at about 3 o'clock in the morning on Main Street, near 83 Main Street. Profile here, 22-year-old male, approximately 5 feet 11 inches tall, 210 pounds, large build, white, not Hispanic, charged with disorderly conduct. In this instance, responded to a fight on Main Street. The officer observed this individual along with others fighting, gave multiple verbal warnings, instructing him to stop fighting, took out the pepper spray and threatened the use of pepper. This individual disengaged. The officer was able to then take them into custody without any further incident and process them for the arrest. Again, this is documenting the actual threatened use of pepper, but no pepper was deployed in this case. The officer's actions were within our department policy and consistent with our training. So there were no issues with this one. The next one I have is there should be 2 use of force reports for this particular case. The individual involved here is a 24-year-old male, approximately 5 feet 11 inches tall, 150 pounds, medium build, black non-Hispanic, charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest. The officers observed this individual actively fighting, on the sidewalk down on North Front Street. Officers attempted to physically break up the altercation. At one point, the suspect ends up, the suspect and one of the initial officers engaged in physical struggle. They go down onto the ground. The individual attempts to wrap around their arms around the neck and head area of the officer. The officer delivers strikes to the individual's body. Second officer sees all this, is able to help gain control of the individual's arms, and then they were without further. As I said, this is a responsible call for service. Observed the individual actively fighting and struggled with the officer and attempted to in terms of the investigation as far as the use of force goes, there were no issues. That the application of force was within the department's policy and consistent with training. The corrective action that we did take the note on this, and as I say here, it's emphasized in both our policy and training that we identify ourselves. And although this was a chaotic scene, the officers were counseled in terms of not verbally identifying themselves quick enough. They should have said, as I note in the report, they were professional. They gave good verbal directions, but should fail to identify themselves as quick as they should have when they go hands on the individual, and that was for both individual officers. So that was something that we have documented in our progressive training in terms of verbal counseling on that, but the application of force in itself was no issues with that. And then the last use of force, there's no subject listed, as you'll see. And this is really documenting the fact that the officer took out their pepper spray. We had a large fight on Main Street. This was on October 30th, 2021, at about 3:45 in the morning in area 84 Main Street. There was fighting going on all over the street. In this particular case, this particular officer had deployed, unholstered their pepper spray and threatened the use of pepper spray on a group that was fighting. 2 of the individuals involved saw that the officer had their pepper out, disengaged right away with people they were fighting with, and then took off on foot into the crowd. So we don't have an ID on anybody that was involved, but as our policy states, we'll note the fact that we took it out, we brandished and threatened its use. So that's what this report is for. And in this particular case, there were no deviations in terms of policy. However, one of the issues that we noted after in reviewing all this was just that in terms of good, better, best, the officer should have holstered their OC right after that. They had continued to have it out. And the issue with that is that, it keeps your hands tied up. So in this particular case, the better option is you deployed it, it's served its purpose, holster it again so that if you need to then go hands-on with somebody, you have two hands free rather than carrying pepper spray in one hand. So that was something, again, that we documented in terms of progressive training, but the application of force and the brandish or threatened use of the pepper spray was in compliance with our policy and training. Any questions on our defensive actions?
I thought you were reading when you started in September, I thought you were reading October. They sound the same. Like, let's see,
Yeah.
middle of the morning, fight on Main Street, pepper spray comes out.
Yeah.
When you look at the videos, it's a lot of the same. And I certainly see that being some of the stressors that the officers are experiencing.
And this wasn't, seems like it's new, like post, like there, I don't remember this many fights in 2019.
I think we are seeing an increase. I think people are angry. People are having a difficult time coping with the world that we live in. And I think, our people see that. And so it's been difficult, but, I think that they're doing a really good job. I think our people are doing what we asked them to do and being professional. Obviously, we look at this with a critical eye. Things can turn out good, but doesn't mean it can't be better. So, and I know sometimes our people don't like to always, hear that, but no one does. But we want to always, we try to maintain that good, better, best. But I'm proud of what, our people, the way our people are handling themselves and in terms of what we are encountering out there. They're doing a great job. They're doing a phenomenal job.
I'd just like to say, great performance by our police. Still, on the wagon of like asking our tavern owners and finding a way for taverns to close at an earlier hour. No reason for our taverns to be open after 2 o'clock, and don't know how to get around it, but that's where the trouble's happening, and it's just a matter of time before, our police are not going to be able to hold up to that, or have a lapse, and then we're going to have a problem. And I don't see why people are, our taverns are open those hours. Thank you for your good work.
Just a couple more things, if I could, just in the October report before we move on. Just in the monthly training report, just to call everyone's attention, we completed our fall range cycle. This is when we do our night fire or night qualifications. So for this training cycle, night fire is a defensive tactics refresher, use of force policy and practice review, which included preventive measures for positional asphyxia, dealing with excited delirium, and handcuffing practical. All of our members went through that. Detective Judge, Lieutenant Butler are our in-house instructors, and so their reports are will be added to our files. There were no issues with that. The other thing I'm really excited about is Lieutenant Butler went down to Pennsylvania to attend the Police Executive Research Forum, PERF's National Curriculum for Integrated Communications and Tactics, called ICAT. It is by far one of the best courses in terms of integrating CIT and tactics. And so this is a train the trainer course. It was a two-day seminar, and we're really excited because we're going to now be able to introduce this into our reality-based training in January. We already adhere to many of the principles in this. It starts with, is there active violence, non-active violence? If you have a non-active violence situation, then, are you using distance and cover to provide time, to make better decision-making, to engage an individual? So this is a really, I'm excited about this training. It's good. And the other one that the lieutenant attended on the 21st and 22nd of October, the Ulster County Chiefs of Police Association sponsored a internal affairs course. This is the second type of course that Lieutenant has gone to. But this training focused solely on the New York State Attorney General's office with regards to executive laws 75 and 70B. And I plan on talking a little bit more about that in next month, some policy stuff. But it's a good course. I think it helps him, that better prepares him to handle the internal investigations that we may have. And that's all I have in terms of the monthly reports.
Thank you.
So, well, for people who have joined us for the public comments, we're not there yet. We're still in the Town Borders Police Commission meeting. We're now on item 3. And so we're going to move through that, and then we're going to start the public hearings and then the town board meeting. So
The next item up is the update on the Ulster County 911 diversion program. So Ulster County earmarked funding for a crisis counselor in the 911 center. And this is now, I think that the individual has been there for 6-7 months, correct me if I'm wrong. And the whole idea behind that is that when mental health calls come in that can be diverted, this person, they're triaged by this individual. And if they can avoid having a police response, then, or this person can do it over the phone, then that's the intent of this. Ulster County is looking to expand this program. And they're in this pilot program, they want to expand with us and the Sheriff's Department. And so our dispatchers are going to receive a modified mental health training to identify mental health calls, conduct risk assessments of the individuals when they call. And then when we can divert those calls to an on-duty clinician and or mobile mental health, then we're going to do so. One of our dispatchers, Captain Kudo, has already attended the 40-hour crisis intervention training course. And our intention is to send all of our full-time dispatchers to that 40-hour course, regardless of this, because I think it's a valuable course for them as well as our officers. And the idea behind this is there's 4 options: refer to a clinician by phone, send the clinician to the scene, and bypassing law enforcement, sending law enforcement to end clinicians as a follow-up. And this is normally done in high-risk situations, and then potentially even a co-response in the immediacy if it's necessary and mental health is available. If not, as I said, it would be just us. In looking at our numbers, we estimate 12 to 20 calls a year can be diverted to a clinician. The training for our dispatchers is going to be done the 14th and 15th of December. With the hope that we'll be live on January 1st. I'm really excited about this. I don't know how many calls it will divert, maybe 12 to 20, because I do know we're still requested to go on many of these, but anything that we can do to minimize our response, I think is a good thing. So I'm really, really excited about this, and we'll see how it goes, and I'll definitely report back. Any questions on that?
So
Really good.
just a quick question. So if they get the phone call, what is the decision-making process that says, oh, this is not for us? Like, is it just because it's mental health? Is it beyond like the capacity of the person answering it?
So depending upon what the caller is telling our dispatcher, there is actually like a triage of questions we would be asking. And I'm giving you my understanding of it is there's an assessment, a set assessment of questions our dispatchers would ask them. And so then that helps them determine, okay, can I send this to the clinician via phone call? Do I have time that I can refer this case out to mobile mental health and they can get there? There's no urgency, but we want to have that followed up. Or do I need immediate police response, or can I do a co-response? So that's what it's an 8-hour training that our dispatchers will attend, and it kind of just to teach them how to triage those.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
This is really an increased skill that a dispatcher really need to have, goes way beyond what they were doing right now. But it determine triage.
Very cool.
Number 4.
So the next is the office. So we are part of the county's Intimate Partner Violence Intervention Program. That program, we're the recipient of a $500,000 grant that was just recently awarded from the Office for Violence Against Women in the United States Department of Justice. And as part of that, we will receive approximately $30,000 of funding for our IPVI program. The Ulster County Legislature approved receipt of that grant, and the DA's office is working on that. There's some trainings I need to, some seminars I need to register for. I'm gonna have Lisa register, so we get the right information to Gene. So we're good to go. But yes, we'll be receiving as part of that $30,000 to help us with our program. I don't think there's anything at this point I need. There may be an MOU involved at some point, and if so, I'll bring that before the board.
Okay, so number 5 is the review of one of the recommendations for the NPRRC.
So this recommendation is that officers who, after being provided with ample tools as outlined in this report, fail to be able to articulate and practice anti-racist policing should be recommended for termination from the NPPD. I think this falls in line with the discipline matrix, and what I would say to it is that depending upon the circumstances, an officer who fails to practice anti-racist policing will face disciplinary charges that can include up to termination, and that would be something that we would they would charge the charges would be levied, and then ultimately that process would play out in an administrative hearing with the town's labor attorney and an administrative court judge. But yeah, I think that some of that is this goes hand in hand with our discipline matrix itself, and the disciplinary
And this
process.
issue is on that part of that discipline matrix. This skill or lack of skill is part of that discipline matrix.
What it would, so yes, in that, depending upon the actions that the individual officer engages in, and then that would, there's policy, and then determining, how they would, what the appropriate punishment would be and how we would move forward. When we deal with a violation of policy, depending upon the nature and the extent of it, it does we make it, if I determine that it's beyond the command level discipline, which is the most I can discipline an individual is 3 days. So then I come before the police commission, we review that matter, and then ultimately we get the town's attorney involved. And so that becomes, the charge could be, or the request, the initial request would be could be termination depending upon the nature. And then ultimately that goes to a hearing and is adjudicated, and that process plays out.
I guess what I'm really asking about this is, as you review and as folks who review these situations are now starting to review and say, is there a potential racist issue in what happened in this case, where we might not have done that many years ago? Are we now looking and saying, is it possible that there was some racial component to something that's happened in this case that maybe there's something wrong, and it was like, and was this something wrong too?
Yeah, I mean,
guess that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we would look at that. Is that a component, involved in whatever it is that we're.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
All right.
And so the next recommendation is that all members of the NPPD, the police commission, the town board, the village board, the school board participate in the assessment of their current location on the spectrum of cultural competencies, such as the intercultural development inventory. So I think this goes to what public comments were mentioned earlier. I don't know if anybody from the Foreign Reinvention Committee is still on and wants to speak to this. If I'm missing anything.
I don't know if anyone's still on.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Essie is
Essie's
still
here,
on.
yeah, Essie's
Yeah.
here, yeah. I don't know if she wants to comment at all. If she does.
Yeah, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Essie.
Sorry, Essie.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing Rob, and so I think I missed a piece of it, but just correct me if I'm wrong. This was a recommendation that was referring to cultural competency of, I think you said the board and the village, both of the boards, school board, and the like. Was that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I
and
think-
so I think what I heard Rob say also was that some of that would be addressed through undoing racism training. Is that what you were saying, Rob?
No, what I was referring to is I think that there's some of what was being referenced in the public comment as well as I think this is what was referenced also in the village town board meeting last week. or the week
Yes.
before.
I can speak to that for a quick sec. And yes, if we don't have the inventory done, and there are trainers who are trained in this, and I'm happy to share any of that information you'd like. But if we don't get an inventory of the village and town, then we don't know where we're at. So when people think that we're here, but we're actually here, but then we can show them through the presentation of this person who can interpret the data based on the inventory we have done, then it proves like, oh yes, this is why you need to really buy in and be all in with undoing racism and everything else.
I
Sounds
think
like-
that
It sounds
I
like-
agree with that, Sana. I have to say that I'm disappointed that we haven't gotten farther than we have. Our report was published in March and it's almost January. It's almost a new year. And it came to my attention last week that some members of the village board hadn't even read the report. So I'm wondering if, I know that the town board has, and I know now that the village board has, but I'm wondering if that report had ever been dispersed to, say, the school board and other members that we mentioned in the report. I'm not looking at it, so I can't think of the other ones off the top, but
So Diana, since you're on the school board.
I don't think she's here anymore. I don't think
Okay,
she's on.
well, okay, so
Diana's not feeling
Diana,
well because she had
was
her
here. But-
booster.
so maybe we could ask Diana, who spoke earlier, since she is a member of the school board, if she dispersed it to them. And if they have budgeted for this training and what their status is.
I guess.
I do know that.
Well, we're not
that
really gonna
they
have a
have to
big
do it.
conversation about this because we're already an hour behind and we have people waiting. So I really don't want to have a conversation about this now. So we're gonna move on. And so could we go on to the traffic, review of traffic stop data? Maybe we'll all speak up a little bit so they can hear us at home.
So I emailed you all the traffic stop data that we, just to quick review. One of the first things that the committee had asked about was our traffic stop data, which we hadn't been doing. And so starting late August, early September, we began doing that. And officers, when they make a vehicle and traffic stop, they will complete an incident supplemental report. And in there, it's documenting the reason for the stop. And they will, based on their observations, say, note whether what the gender and the race of the individual operating the vehicle is. And so we have these incident supplementals, and I was able to query the system. I apologize, I gave you all a copy of the incident supplemental late, and that just, that's exactly what the officers do. This is the data itself, or the data that I provided you. I'm hesitant to draw any real, big conclusions from it. I think I want to be very careful in the conclusions I draw because I think there is limits to the data. First of all, we're the only agency in this county that's doing this. No one else is tracking vehicle and traffic stop data. So I'm proud of what we're doing. I'm happy that this is something our committee identified, and I see that, nothing that glaringly jumped out at me in terms of a disproportionate policing of people of color, in terms of our traffic stops. But I also want to be very careful because, the data we get is based upon the observations of the officer. We're not going to ask someone what their gender is. We're not going to ask them what their race is. I think that is could potentially lead to a really tense situation or a bad outcome on a vehicle and traffic stop. But we are noting, and officers are doing what's being asked of them. In terms of providing this data, I will put this on our website as well. I didn't know if anybody, and we'll be including all of this in our annual report. The other constraint we run into is, obviously it's based on the observations, but the categories that you have to select from also limit, what your choices may be. So as I said, I truly think if New York State wanted to know what this information was, they would embed this on a driver's license in a way that wasn't obvious to the person looking at the license, because all of our licenses have barcode scanners, barcodes on the back. They could embed the data. If they really wanted to know that. I am very disappointed with this in the sense, like, the state wants us to do this and track this, but they should be doing this and tracking this, or helping us do this and track this. I think it's important that we know whether or not we are engaging in practice in practices like this. But if you really want an accurate assessment of what it is we're doing, I think the state has to become involved in this. It can't just be the New Paltz Police Department, because the way we do it may be different. As obviously no one else is doing it, so it's it's hard to compare with how others are getting that data.
But I think it's it's not perfect, but it's similar to the body camera. Once people know that there is that they're being watched or things are being kept track of, everyone tries a little bit harder to make sure they're not doing anything wrong. So I think it's good all around. And yeah, there's problems with it, but I think it's a good start. It could be better, and I agree. It would be nice if the state just made it so it was just collected. The data was just there, and then you would see real trends. And I guarantee you'd see bigger trends, bigger differences between municipalities. So
I just didn't know if anybody had any questions in the data. It was on the Excel spreadsheets. There's actually, I'm sorry. On the Excel spreadsheets, there's two sheets. One where data itself, and one with race and gender. One of the issues that we are encountering, and I don't know why, but in some of these, you may have multiple entries for the same incident. So for example, the incident supplemental I provided you all, if you look at the October data for that particular incident, there's 2 listings. But there's only one individual on there. So I'm not sure, I'm still trying to figure out how to pull the data, or the more accurate data. I have not figured out if this is the best data that I could pull right now. And I am working with the county's crime analysts to help, see if there's better ways. But this is what we have, and I will continue to do this. And as I said, we're going to post, I'll post what I have on here on our website, hopefully by early next week. And then we will continue to keep that up to date. I'll probably post, the data every, 5-6 months, just I'll put a couple of different sheets up at a time.
Am I missing something? Or you're just sharing the supplemental with us? You're not sharing the data today with us?
I sent you early on, you should have gotten numerous Excel, a couple weeks ago, numerous Excel spreadsheets with all that data. Today was just that supplemental I had forgotten to include with that.
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Thank you very much.
And if that's everything, and make a motion to adjourn the Town Board as Police Commission meeting.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Favor?
Aye,
Aye.
thank you. All right, so now we have several public hearings. So I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the 2022 town budget. We're going to open them all at the same time.
You are?
I mean,
Okay, yeah. you
Yeah.
can.
and we'll open, and
Announce what all three
so
are.
a motion to open the public hearing for the
Do it.
22 town budget, the rental and vacant residential properties law, and the seeker for the landfill solar lease.
Second, but just for discussion, and more for the members of the public. Obviously, we want to hear everyone, but I think we really need to stick to 3 minutes because we're already running pretty late. We have 3 public hearings. We have a presentation. We have potentially the adoption of a local law and the adoption of the town budget. And I want to hear from everyone, but I want to preserve our abilities to have healthy and conscious debates that are not at an hour. We shouldn't be doing it. So I
Thank you.
want to hear from people, but let's really try to stick to 3 minutes per comment. We will.
So, and Neil, are we gonna listen to people one at a, as in, one topic at a time, one public hearing at a time, right?
Yeah.
Even though we opened up all of them, we want to hear one.
I mean, I think, I'd like people to, tell us what their comments are on.
And we should probably mute everyone. too.
And yeah, if everyone could mute themselves. And then
Yeah, we do. need-
raise your hand.
I don't think we voted, by the way.
Oh,
All those in
here.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
No problem.
And I'm going to be a little stricter with the time because we have a lot to go through tonight. So I'll ask you to wrap it up and then I'll ask one more time, but then please wrap it up and don't make me cut you off.
You have a timer, Neil?
I have a timer. So Maggie, you have another comment?
Yeah, I do. I do. Thank you. And it's going to be very short. I was going through, this relates to the new rental registry that you're trying to create. I think it's a great idea. There's a lot of housing in the town that needs to get inspected. I happen to be a landlord myself and I know other landlords. And there are some very good ones, as you know, and there's some that are not as good. And the effort to try to make assure that everyone has a safe and affordable housing is important. But I did notice that this excludes agricultural housing. And I'm concerned about that. We already know that agriculture housing has historically been one of the areas of greatest abominations. There's an old movie about the terrible working conditions that people who are farm workers have to endure. And part of that is their housing. So I would like the town to really reconsider why they would be excluding that. Because to me, it ends up putting people who the people who work in the fields, put food on our table, really have a right to housing that is not substandard. And so often in the farms, they are substandard. Now, it might be that there is some kind of state law or federal law that excludes farms from being under the codes of the local ordinances, but the fact that you're excluding it suggests to me that you might have the authority to do that. So I'd like to suggest that, and I don't want to see, I really recommend that that you really reconsider that. And it might be that you might need to consider that at a later point in time, but I would like to think that you will remember that these are the people that put food on our table. And to exclude farms from having housing that it's proper for people who put food on our table, just to me, opens up a can of worms and treats people who are already second-class citizens continually becoming and maintaining their citizen and inferior status. And if you could tell me that you have to do that, maybe at some point in time it would be helpful, but that's what my comment is.
Great, thanks. We don't normally engage, but we asked about that. We're not allowed to regulate that. So Edgar.
Oh, well, okay, you sort of answered the question.
I know that it refers to code in the proposed law says it is not intended, this chapter shall be applied to agricultural use within the town, such as uses are defined in chapter 140. I tried to find something in chapter 140 that gave me an explanation for this. And this is on the heels of an experience I just had that I've had for many years. My children attended the ABCD program, the agricultural business program of Route 32. And I currently have children there, not my own, that I'm working with. And one family, one mother refused to work on one of our local farms of a well-known farmer because the housing was so terrible. And these are folks that are permanent residents in New Paltz who have children in our school district. And it seems to me that we're preparing, that you are preparing a separate situation for a class of people of color to have substandard housing in New Paltz. And so I want to give you the opportunity to help me understand what in chapter 140 on the one hand allows for substandard housing. So I appreciate that. I hope that we can have this conversation. Thank you.
Thanks. Tom?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say something. I have comments about the budget. Want to keep it brief. I want to thank again your staff and Dan for providing us with additional information. I think it's the kind of thing that that does help citizens be informed and have a good sense of the budget. In particular, I want to give a shout out that from 2017 to the 22 preliminary budget, at least, both the New Paltz Youth Program and the Public Health and Community Education programs have shown consistent increases. Most everybody else has essentially remained constant. But as we kind of talked about last time, there are big concerns about the future. This year's sharp uptick in debt service will continue for many years and is likely to even grow if you work on the town hall concept. Plus, you have we all have the continuing growth in salaries and employee benefits, which of course are necessary for our hardworking staff. But they together underline the need for the town to adopt, publish, and explain a real multi-year financial plan. Those kinds of plans are strongly recommended by the state controller, and the state controller's office does offer training in how to implement them. Residents and taxpayers need to understand the trade-offs facing the town between needed infrastructure improvements, maintaining services, and the prospect of tax increases. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments?
That's it.
If that's it.
Closing the hearing on any of these issues at this time.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, I'm
close
happy
the
to
budget.
close the hearing on the town budget. I'm happy to close all three hearings.
Do we have to convene the town board meeting to close them, right?
Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's make a motion to open the town board meeting for November, what's the date today? Only been here a day and a half, November 18th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to close all three public hearings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And let's see, we, well, we gotta stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Why don't we start with that?
Bring the Cub Scouts back.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was more fun with the Cub Scouts here.
It was.
And so with that,
Additions to the agenda, Neil,
So-
we need to add the temporary officer.
yes, and so yeah, I'd like to make a motion to add an item to the agenda to do a temporary promotion to sergeant the motion that was referred to us for during the police commission. Shannon James.
Second.
And then, I noticed there are some people here for, the, item number 6. The, motion to set the public hearing for the Trans Hudson petition to extend water and sewer services. I would like to move that up.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
I
right.
so I'd like to move that to the top of the agenda. That should only take a second. And then they'll know what's happening, if people are okay with that. Okay.
Can I ask, because we're closing the hearing on
We
the
need a
rental and
public
vacant
hearing, open
residential
it.
property, or does we vote on that tonight?
We can, if you want,
Well, otherwise we should leave the public hearing.
or we can leave it open. We can reopen it again.
I'm sorry, I totally missed what you're saying.
Well, if we're gonna close the hearing on the rental and vacant residential properties law, let's vote on
Vote
it.
on it,
Okay.
Yeah, I
and then
agree.
we're done.
Okay, so
Okay.
we can add that
Fine.
item
Yeah.
2, people are ready?
Make a motion to add that to the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and so we'll just get to Ted, we'll get to the presentation eventually when Ted gets back, or he's joined us on Zoom, I think. He was on Zoom, so there is, someone's here on Zoom, it's from Walden.
All right,
Okay,
why don't we
So
wait then?
we'll just wait.
Yep, yep.
Number 6.
whenever he shows up, that's fine. Okay, great. So let's start number 6. Pardon?
Public hearing?
Public hearing.
I meant public input.
Does anyone have any more public input?
Daniel is raising his hand.
Oh, and,
Tom Jello is raising his hand.
Yeah. So, yeah, please, public input, Daniel, please.
You're muted, Daniel.
You're muted, Daniel.
We can't hear you.
Thank
Oh, there we
thank
go.
you. Thanks. for
There we
that.
go.
Just a brief comment. My name is Daniel Schneeven. I'm a resident of the town of New Paltz. I'm here this evening to discuss the petition that the town has received from Trans Hudson requesting the extension of a water district to include their proposal for a Mavis Tire Store, 2 fast food restaurants, and a bank on the corner of Route 299 and North Buck Corners Road. I realize that the formal public hearing on this matter will likely begin at your next meeting. The section of town law that makes the evaluation of this petition your purview is clear that if the town board determines that that extending the water district is, quote, not in the public interest, the town board shall deny the petition, end quote. Suggestions that only narrow technical criteria, such as available water supply, may be considered have been rejected by both state and federal appellate courts. Rather, quote, in determining the petition, the town board is required to consider the public interest in general, end quote. The request before you does not serve the public interest for 2 primary reasons. First, the proposed driveway into the site off of Route 299 is, to quote the Bike Pedestrian Committee, quote, a major safety risk, end quote, for Empire State Trail users. A 2018 study undertaken by the DOT prior to the installation of the EST found that this stretch of Route 299 featured an accident rate twice that of comparable roads around the state. Most of these were rear end accidents concentrated near stoplights and were likely associated with driver inattention. The report notes that, quote, commercial driveways in close proximity to the traffic signals at the thruway entrance and Putt Corners Road intersections contribute to the accidents at these intersections, with drivers cutting across lanes to enter and exit these facilities, end quote. Trans Hudson's current proposal would remove a physical barrier that currently separates vehicular traffic from EST users and would install another commercial driveway, just like those flagged in the DOT's report, this one crossing 2-way bike and pedestrian traffic. This material degradation of safety conditions for EST users along the heavily traveled Route 299 portion of the EST outweighs the safety improvements for northbound EST users who would benefit from the proposed connector trail through the site. The DOT has not yet approved this dangerous 299 driveway, but even if they do, it would not constrain your potential action. The question to ask yourself is, are you comfortable with a design that meets minimum standards, or do you want to insist on a design that includes safety measures befitting the incredible asset to New Paltz that is the Empire State Trail? Second, and very briefly, Trans Hudson has proposed to clear the substantial vegetated natural buffer along the thruway to create the new connector trail. This is despite there being ample room for the trail, a laudable site feature to be shifted west and out of the buffer. This buffer was an important feature of the rezoning of the town's Gateway District, unanimously adopted by the town board. The buffer is intended to have a minimum width of 30 feet in order to provide visual screening and to mitigate the noise of throughway traffic. Placing a 10-foot paved road with 2 feet of mowed grass on either side, reducing the width nearly in half, will substantially undermine the buffer's mitigative function, creating adverse noise and air quality impacts for EST users and New Paltz residents. To conclude, the petition before you does not serve the public interest because it would undermine public safety and exacerbate the negative impacts of the throughway on air quality and sound levels. These impacts unfortunately outweigh the site plan's positive features, which are the connector trail and the proposed EST amenities. For these reasons, barring an improved site plan, the criteria set forth by town law require that the petition be denied. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks. See you in 2 weeks. Tom, did you have a comment?
I'm going to pass. Thank you.
Great. Any other comments? If not, look, I'd like to make a motion to set the public hearing for the Trans Hudson petition to extend water and sewer services for December 2nd, 2021 at
Second.
7 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Let's see, now Ted's back. And so we will go to item 1 on the agenda. And let's see. Let me do some announcements first. So Clearwater Road, sorry, Ted. Clearwater Road will be closed Saturday, November 20th. We had a culvert fail on Clearwater Road. So we're closing that on Saturday and Sunday. The reuse center is going to be closed because of access issues. Reuse center will open on Tuesday, November 23rd at 9 AM. All town offices will, as well as the reuse center, will be closed on Thursday, November 25th and Friday, November 26th for the holiday. And that's it. Now, Ted, thank you.
I apologize for having to step out.
Sorry.
I mean, you can come at the table if you want. You can get a chair if you want to sit here, whatever's easier for you.
I think this evening I can just stand.
Okay.
All right.
It is a team effort tonight. Janelle is gonna share a picture of the rendering of the solar project. You allow her to share screen. She's all set.
She's co-host. And go ahead, Janelle.
All right, I'm sharing screen here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
So, good evening. My name is Ted Bitsa. Vice President of Innovation at Walden Environmental Engineering, also Paltz resident. I'm a member of New Paltz's ad hoc solar committee. With me this evening is Kara Lee. She's a chair of our ad hoc committee. Also Marty Uren, former town board member, and Janelle Yoder, coordinator of the New Paltz Climate Smart Task Force. She's also tonight we're here to present our recommendations and a resolution for consideration for a long-term lease agreement between the town and a solar developer to install solar installation facilities on our closed landfill on Clearwater Road. Pictured on the shared screen there. There's a rendering of it. At our last board meeting, the board took the initial steps required by the secret law by establishing itself as the lead agency for the project and determining that the action would be designated type 2 action with a negative declaration. And the public hearing would be this evening, held just previous to that presentation. The proposal reflects that we dismissed an earlier project proposed in 2019 and issued a brand new RFP or request for proposal that redefined and limited the development of the solar facility to just the surface of the land, as shown on the figure that we have before you. Different than previous layouts and scenarios, this project is explicitly limited to the extent of the old landfill.
Ted, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
my understanding is there are people at home who are having a hard time hearing you. So if you want to maybe
You could step
a little
closer.
Yep.
So the different from previous layouts and scenarios. The project is explicitly limited to the extent of the old landfill. No adjacent areas, wooded areas, trails, or parking. The recycling center areas, parking lots are not available for the project. We note that closed landfills are generally speaking an excellent place for solar siting, as they are already disturbed land. And they're open and flat and have no other significant productive use. The committee has worked over the last several months to develop an agreement with the solar developer, named Sunlight General Capital, a New York company, to lease the landfill space. They've done plenty of projects and performing well, and have other projects in the pipeline right now in parallel to the project. The agreement calls for the following. The agreement is set up as an option period. The developer has a time period to put the design and the permitting in place. A term of 25 years with the ability for it to be extended for 4 additional 5-year segments. The leasee then, Sunlight, upon exercising its option to lease the lease area, will lease the area from the town and on their own construct, design, install, own, operate, repair, maintain over the time period, and eventually remove the system, all in accordance with the terms and conditions that are set up as part of the lease agreement. The rent will be paid to the town on an annual basis and with established formulas that are in the agreement. For changes due to any changes or interruptions, additions, or continued delays to the rebate and incentive programs will allow you to build time. That amount, that base amount, the amount that we this was part of the contract is $57,000 a year. It will escalate at 2% per year over the entire term of the agreement. After 25 years, that's close to $2 million. The confidence in our town and the state as a location to invest in this type of renewable energy source, the underlying underutilized space on the municipal-owned ground, and the approval of this agreement this evening, we put in motion solar facilities rated at a level equal to the use of just over 550 equivalent New York households. The ad hoc committee hopes this project will lead by example for other communities. And as mentioned last time in front of this board, the New York State Energy Research and Development Agency, NYSERDA, has issued a grant to SUNY New Paltz professors and students to assist in the study of how this solar facility can be planned, designed, constructed, even construed in a manner helpful for wildlife in the area, such as migratory birds, insects, pollinators, and other plant and animal species that are so important to the biodiversity and health of this same area. This agreement has been reviewed by the town attorney and has been placed in your packets for your review. We thank you for the opportunity to present our recommendations and to serve the town. We welcome any questions you may have this evening.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Sunlight General Company, was that bid out or is it something that they proposed and that's just the company that's being used?
We went through a public request for proposal process.
Okay. Oh, okay.
and,
Sorry.
no, no.
Oh, I wasn't aware.
Well, I'm glad we had the opportunity to follow. The request for proposal was sent out to every solar developer, vendor, or practitioner that was on NYSERDA's or state lists that are interested in that kind of work. So we did have quite a bit of interest out there. We had several of these same types of companies come and visit our facilities directly, kick tires, check out facilities, put together the bid. At the end, we had 2 very competitive bids to compare from, and Sunlight was recommended by this group to be the best one for the town to consider moving forward.
Thank you.
It's been a long process.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm happy to see it moving along. I mean, I think we were sitting, not in this spot, but we were sitting here, I think 2 years ago, or maybe even 3 years ago and 2 years ago, discussing it. And then kind of COVID hit, everything kind of slowed down, but I appreciate the committee getting it back up and running and bringing it back before us. So thank you, Marty.
It was November 14th, 2 years ago, that
Wow.
the town board did the secret for the other possibility of fell apart.
Wow.
And I've had the opportunity to
Yeah, so thank you for continuing to press on with this. So, and I actually think this is a great proposal. It's much more straightforward than the other one. There are a lot of unknowns when we were looking at a bigger area. This is, I think, a very, very nice, tight, neat project. And I'm glad everyone's reviewed. The town attorney has reviewed the contract. It seems somewhat straightforward. If anyone has issues, questions, if not, we can. Go ahead, Marty.
Just a question. You all had a public hearing. Did that public hearing get closed?
Yep, the public hearing is closed. And so now I think the next step is we declare lead agency for seeker for the contract. And then we can sign the contract, right? We have the resolution, is that right?
Yeah, the resolution in front of you has all the steps that's necessary for the season.
Yeah.
As a part of that works in conjunction with what was approved at the last board.
Yeah.
Can I
So,
just quickly add my thanks before we close?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to add my thanks really quickly. Same, I echo what has been said, that, the patients really appreciate it. And it's a terrific proposal. And I remember, when we talked about it before, you had mentioned that there was going to be remediation of the site to help, once they take these panels away, to help it rebound, to sort of become again a field with flowers and and whatnot. So is that in the contract? And
I'll speak about it in contrast to what we had last time. Through this process, we were able to improve the decommissioning process. At the end of the either 25, 30, 35, up to 45 years, the end of this project, the developer is required to remove facilities to a condition like it was before. And that will require grading and fixing things. Not only that, there's called a surety. There's a small note amount that's based on the contract proportional to the size of the agreement that sets aside that funds in the remote case that the developer chooses not to do that work or chooses not to do it enough that the town can then use to make sure that it's done.
great. I really love that the NYSERDA has, if I heard you correctly, they have issued a grant already to SUNY to study wildlife and solar. That could be sort of.
It's a sister project, we'll say. They go side by side. And the NYSERDA study funds the ability to look at the project before, during, and after, and then also add components or pay for the incremental costs, maybe adjust things one way or the other so that they can enhance wildlife in the area that we learn.
What a bonus that is to have students, be able to use it sort of as a classroom, right?
Yeah, we've had, the pre-condition surveys, both this past summer and the summer before, have been done. So they've been out there collecting data already to establish the pre-conditions. We'll use that to help guide us through the design phase and then be able to empirically determine what the results were after this stuff and then compare and contrast.
Was that somebody's idea, someone here to involve SUNY?
Yes, it was, SUNY is a old treasure. They're very qualified and researchers that are doing work in this area. Good for us to have that.
He's pointing to you, by the way. So that was your idea?
It was Ted's idea, yeah.
I just want to thank you then. That's great. I'm not surprised, so thank you.
Great. Well, so I guess I would like to, these resolutions are all on the town board's website. We have a resolution. The first is, I'd like to make a motion to declare the town board lead agency and a determination of non-significance under seeker. So that's the first resolution.
Second.
For the approval of, for the agreement.
For that lets us sign the lease. So we do the seeker, there's no significant environmental impact of us signing the contract, and then it's a negative declaration. So that's the first motion. All
Julie second.
in favor?
Aye.
And then the next is a resolution authorizing us, so the solar lease for the, it's been, this resolution is also on the town website, but this is a resolution authorizing us to sign the lease agreement for the landfill between the town of New Paltz and SL New Paltz Solar One LLC. Is that right?
That's the corporate name for Sunlight General Capital for this project.
Is this approving you to do that, Neil, on behalf of the town board? Or
It
is
is.
us?
Supervisor is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the town such other and further instruments as are necessary to give full force and effect to the purpose and intents of this resolution.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a really. cool
Thanks,
one.
guys.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Mark.
Did you have a
Yeah,
fun
great
report?
work.
That didn't work.
Yeah.
Yes, it's nice to be moving forward on this.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is 500 homes, right?
550.
550.
Every
So,
year, annually.
yeah, it's a big
Yeah.
start.
And that money is, I believe it's, if I recall correctly, in the budget for next year.
In the first year, there's only option agreements. So in the first year, I think we're getting up to $15,000 in payments until the solar project is built. And we've added that $15,000 into this year's budget. It's in the budget resolution changes that I sent around earlier. And Janelle has a comment. Sorry, Janelle, I'm just singing off. Please,
Yes,
go ahead.
and I do believe that this makes us eligible for another 9 points in the Climate Smart Communities process. And certainly my goal is to get New Paltz to silver. So this would be one more action that would lead us down that path.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Thank you. Bringing in revenue to cover a land.
Yeah.
Pretty
there
good.
you go.
Cool. Thank
It's
you,
a
everyone.
win-win.
Have a great night.
Yeah. good guys.
Oh.
Last one standing.
Next one, this is the budget. Now Jean is, Jean's here. Thank you, Jean, for waiting all of this time. So this, I sent an email around to everyone earlier. I'd even like texted Dan and back and forth before I thought we were gonna make the cap. And actually at times we did make the cap. We've made lots of cuts. We've also had a bunch of setbacks in the last week. Medicaid went up a bunch. It's I forget the exact number, but it's $62,000 that we suddenly have to come up with because we have a lot of retirees, and so we had to add that back into the budget this week. We had a culvert fail that we talked about earlier on Clearwater Road. With the recent storms, we have to come up with $70,000 for that. We don't have that in our budget. When I talked about it last year, we made the cap last year at 1.56, but we kind of cut all the fluff out of the budget. And we're now at the end of the year and we're running on fumes in most departments. And so we're like, we got it down. We have a bunch of proposals to get it down from 4.9, which is what we were at 2 weeks ago. I think we're down to 3.6. Gene, we just can't find anything else. I'm also a little worried. We didn't put a ton of extra money in there for inflation. Gas prices are predicted to go up. I'm a little worried if we made cuts to make the budget, we're gonna pay for it next year or as inflation goes up. And so that's just me. I mean, we've used a bunch of the rescue plan funds. We've used all of them that we've gotten this year. We got $355,000. We've allocated all of it for like one-time purchases, one-time, expenses. So And we put, some money into the, food, extra food for this year for the youth program, things like that. But that we've spent that money and we're down to, we'd have to find another $168,000 to get to the cap, to get to 2%. I don't have it. Like Gene and I met for a lot today, and I can't find anything else. So I'm sorry. But
That's what it is. I mean, it's a difficult year.
I think, I think we last year we talked about like slowly easing back in. We did get it down from the initial asks from the department heads. It was $1 million. We got that $1 million down to 168. 368, yeah. But
368.
368, that's 168 on top of the $200,000 for the cap.
Right.
So, we got it down to 368, but I can't find anything else. So that's what I got.
I didn't see Chris on the call. Is any department heads on the call that do want to speak to this before we vote?
So one of the things we did is we have some money in there for Chris's truck, that he really needs that truck this year. So we put the money in there for the truck. At first we didn't have the money in there. And then we made a bunch of cuts, and that was part of it. Then we put it back in, then we made some other cuts to try to keep it in there. And it was still in there, but I do think we need the truck this year. And if we don't buy it, we put half the money in for the truck this year, then we were gonna put half the money in next year. We're also trying to let's just buy it this year and then we don't buy a truck next year. Because by doing that, we're also saving a lot on expenses to have to fix the trucks this year. And then we still have to replace the truck next year. So that's kind of the rationale behind that.
Yeah.
And I agree with Chris, we kind of have to have the truck. So we made a lot of these decisions and trade-offs. There's a mower in there. That mower is needed for the new fields, but it's a bigger mower, it's a better mower. It also reduces the amount of labor that we need because you then save using that mower on personnel.
But I think that's exactly what a budget is. It's like there are decisions that are being made in order to make the next couple of years better. So if you start looking at it as, oh, this money's being spent now and we can't quite make the tax cap, you can also say, listen, this is an investment in our town for the next couple of years.
Yep.
Where we're not looking at something, and one of the things owning a business, you realize if you don't fix something now or get what you need now, then the next couple of years when you're putting money into something that isn't working, you're really spending more of the townspeople's money. You're basically saying, hey, I'm not willing to spend $20 today, but I'm going to be asking you for 5 more for the next 4 years. You ended up spending, $30, $40 when you could have spent 20, to put it very simply. So I think what you guys have done has been amazing. It's really difficult to do. And at this time, with what's going on, it's even more difficult to do because prices are going up. So kudos to you. And if, this is what you got it down to, but the money's being spent wisely, investing into what we need for our town, then that's what we're doing, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually want to just add to that as well, that, obviously this is a budget, so we talk about it in dollars and cents, but I also want to take a second to talk about it in services as well too, because
Yeah.
that's important. I'm not trying to disparage any other communities, but there are a lot of communities in our area who have laid off a lot of employees, who have pulled back significantly on essential programs. And yeah, I'd like it if we could drop this number a bit too, but I think it's really important to realize that in the process, since we've been in the pandemic, we've made some of the largest infrastructure gains that we've ever seen in town government. We have continued to help our youth services at a time when they need it the most. We've been mindful of other addiction and other needs that our residents have, and we've continued to fund that, and at times even enhance that funding. And I'm really, really proud of that. I get we're disappointed maybe because we would have wanted the number to go down a bit, but let's talk about what that number means and what we get for that. And I think both you and Gene and the town board at large should be really happy that those essential services at a time when people need it the most, that I do think we're really coming we're really doing a service to our town to provide those at this essential moment.
It's been stressful, I gotta say, but
You always
I gotta
do.
say,
Good job,
today
Dan.
I went to the youth center because it's their Thanksgiving party. And I don't want to get emotional, but there were 80 kids there, maybe 81 kids, I think Jim said, and they fed them all. Like they all had their Thanksgiving outside today. And then the kids all said what they were thankful for.
Oh,
Yeah, it's emotional, but like one of them was thanks to the youth center. And she said she, wouldn't have passed school if she wasn't able to go there and get tutored and be there. And I was like, okay, I feel better now. It recharged my batteries a little bit. So,
Investing in it.
yeah, it was, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it was nice.
And I think, Alex, your point about let's pay now so we're not paying, just passing that buck down. The building that we're sitting in right now is another good
Exactly.
example of exactly that.
Yeah.
And Project that needed to get done for so many years.
Yeah.
We've gotten done this year,
Believe
and
me.
so that we're not passing that buck down the road.
There's a few.
Let's pass this budget.
So
Can I ask a quick question or
Julie
no?
just wanted to say something quickly as well.
So I want to, we have to, so the
Oh, I'm sorry,
motion
I
will,
just want to make sure Julie had an opportunity. I thought you wanted to say something.
Oh, that's okay. I just wanted to thank everyone who, worked really hard. I know you sweated, Neil, and, this is, important work. Everyone who has said something I agree with, so. Just wanted to add my. thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. And thanks, Jean.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you,
Jean.
Gina.
and so I'd like to make a motion to pass the budget with the modifications that I sent around earlier on the email, that Excel spreadsheet. That's right, Gene?
And is that sufficient for this meeting, just
Yeah.
what you said just now?
Yeah, and that will get us down to 3.6, that right, Gene? Yeah. Great.
I second that.
All right,
You do.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Great work,
you.
everyone.
Great
All
work.
right, awesome.
That was Number 4, so Dan, this is the police commission. You want to talk about this mission statement?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to.
You're still on closing the public hearing on number 4, not the mission statement yet, right?
Oh, well, I think we closed the public hearing already.
On the police commissioner? On the police- on the hearing.
Sorry, no.
Oh, did we, that wasn't part of the earlier public hearing.
That
So
wasn't in the
this,
three before.
this would be, that wasn't one of our public hearings. So this would be, if we want to, this would be to close the public hearing on the police commission law.
Yep.
And then we could pass the law for the police commission. And so I'd like to make a motion
It's
to
in the
close the public hearing for the police commission.
second.
All in favor, I'll do it. Resolution to repeal chapter 24, Police Commissioners Board of, chapter 34. So this is a motion to close the public hearing for that law.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And do you want a motion to pass local law to repeal chapter 34, Police Commissioners Board of the Code of the Town of New Paltz, and to add a new chapter 34, Police Commissioners Board of?
Okay.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Dean. Good night.
Good night, Jean.
Let's see if I can find that here.
It's number 5.
Yeah, I'm looking for in my,
It's,
in the
5.
packet.
Yep.
There it is. Alex, you want to read that?
Just given time, I don't know if I want to go point for point on it. I know this was circulated to members. This document, I think, takes into account a lot of the comments that we heard from the public and a lot of the dialogue that we talked about relative to just having a broader statement on what the commission is, how we got here, and a number of the expectations that we're looking for as well. And as we've discussed, that is, a commitment to requiring training, requiring attendance, and then we did elaborate a little bit more on the kind of individuals that we are looking to serve in this role. And I don't think it comes as a shock to anyone. It's very similar to the conversation we had, but just to quickly read, someone who shows a dedication to anti-racism, diversity, justice, and the ability to fulfill the commission's responsibilities as defined by this local law. So just given where we are time-wise in the meeting, I don't know if there's any discussion about this further or any amendments that anyone would like to provide.
Just think it was greatly improved, so thank you for taking into account comments of the public and improving the law. Thank you.
Awesome. So with that, I'm gonna move this, and the only changes I'm gonna do is obviously we have X's because we didn't know when we were gonna do this exactly. So just wanted to provide today's date being November 18th. And then the local law that we just passed, do we know what number that was for the year?
I do not.
So we will allow the clerk to insert the accurate local law number just so that's reflected. There was one public comment about inserting this type of language into the local law that we adopted. I am hesitant to do that. The reference was made to a previous local law we did. That was run by our attorney, and there was nothing that was said in there that was binding. So it didn't really have an impact on the law. Since we are making a number of requests for the commission, I'd be concerned about adding them to the local law and having unintended consequences from the law that we're trying to adopt, which would hurt what we were more broadly trying to do here. And I'm not sure what the enforcement would even be able to be as well. So I understand that sentiment, but I think that what we're all trying to do is do the same thing here. So I feel comfortable adopting this as a resolution.
My preference is to stick with our attorney's advice over public comment.
So with that being said, I'm gonna move the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second?
Any other conversation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
I think, and just so everyone's, when we talked about the budget, there is money in the budget. There was already money in the budget that, we have money for training as town board members. And, that normally will go to like the Association of Towns meeting or something like that. But there's enough money in that training for us to go through the training that we were talking about at the joint meeting a week ago. So
I would just correct that. It's training for the town board to attend the undoing racism.
Yes. Yeah.
But not for all municipal employees. So I think we want to be addressing that.
Yes, yeah, but I also think, before the town board makes a decision about spending money, I think it makes sense for them to go through the training and to evaluate the usefulness of it before we budget tens of thousands of dollars in time and money.
It's a fair point.
So that's when I spoke to the chief, he has money in his budget. The chief, the lieutenant are going to join us. Town board members will go through it. And I think, after you go through the training and you realize like, oh, wow, this was very transformative. You're an advocate for it.
Makes you ask the right questions too. So I'm all for
I'm
it.
also looking forward to doing it just as a broader community conversation as well, and us as leaders as well, undertaking that, encouraging others to do that training and other just training and frankly, self-reflection as well too. So,
Great. So we did number 6. So I make a motion to approve the consent agenda 7A through 7H.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
did you do the temporary officer as well?
Not yet, that's at the end.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
we'll do that. So motion to hire Sophie Gross as a full-time youth program staff member effective November 19th, 2021 at a rate of $15 an hour.
Second,
This is in the budget.
I have a discussion point because I just noticed on the letter that it's the sixth person was budgeted at $16.55 an hour.
Okay.
So if she's the sixth person, wouldn't she be making 16?
there's a rationale provided in the letter for
Yeah.
why it's at
I
15.
see, yeah, I do see that too. I just
Starting
wondered,
salary.
I like, it made me happy to think that there was this in the budget for that. So
So what's the question?
but
What-
it sounds like he's also fine with it being less.
His recommendation is for 15.
So I'm going with his recommendation.
Okay.
Yep. So,
You know,
Right.
change it without-
yeah, we can change it later on. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And make a motion to take up the motion that was referred to us from the Town Borders Police Commission to temporarily appoint Shannon James to be sergeant.
Second, Alex?
On a temporary basis.
Yeah.
Temporary. Thank
All in favor?
you.
Aye. And
On the rental and vacant property.
Oh, that's right.
Property law.
yes,
Forgot about that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the vacant and rental registration property law that we closed the public hearing for.
Second?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
2 laws in one night. Wow.
And
Budget.
And a bunch.
motion to approve the November warrant in the amount of $1,760,827.28.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Everything, is that everything?
Powerhouse meeting.
Wow.
That is a,
that
A
was
yeah,
lot
that's
of
a
work
lot.
getting done. A lot of work.
I
Really
like
nice.
that. It makes me feel like-
It's good to be back in
It is.
person.
It is good
Um,
to be back in person, I gotta say.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.